Hi, I'm Brittany, and welcome to Proverbs Study. Oops. Today is the beginning of Proverbs 6. So we are going to get into blessings of obedience and exhortation for wisdom or to wisdom. So this is what we can expect moving forward in Proverbs 6. Now, Proverbs 6:1 starts with, "My son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger." So in the Hebrew, the second if is not there. So we're going to read it again without the second if and listen to how this statement changes. And I'm just going to replace thou with you so it can be a little bit more straightforward. So, my son, if you be surety for your friend, you have stricken your hand with a stranger. Okay? So now let's get into this Hebrew. So my son, Bain, is just son. If is im, and it means surely or doubtless, or like we hear in the New Testament, verily, verily. So verily, you be surety or thou be surety is aurab, and that is give in pledge or exchange or taken on pledge. For thy friend is rea, and that means fellow citizen or another person with whom you stand in reciprocal relations. So a person that you have a reciprocal relationship with, a give and take relationship with. Okay? And like I said, that second if is not there in the Hebrew. And so let's move on to thou hast stricken or you have stricken, which is tauka. It means to strike or pledge oneself or slap the hands together. And then thy hand is the word kaf, and it's of a hand or of a hand grasp as a pledge. So a handshake, okay? And then with a stranger, zur, and that is to the family of another household or elsewhere. Okay. So if it's not clear, the Bible is telling us that if you take on a pledge for somebody else, you have pledged yourself with a stranger. Okay. So if it's your friend, that friend is a stranger because it is outside of your household. It is in, like it says, the family of another household. And so what can we understand from this? And so this happens so often. It happens with banks. Mortgage is another word for aurab. It's when the bank takes on your debt and then in exchange for your deed so that you can live in your home. And then once you pay the debt to the bank, then you get the deed in your house. In your name, it is yours now. It is no longer in the bank's name. And I don't know the exact name, but I just know that once you pay it off, that officially becomes yours, right? But if you default on it, the bank has to pay, it has to eat that debt. Okay. So this is this thing in that type of financial realm. Now, what it is in the physical or in the natural realm, in relationship realm, I guess, these types of relationships become very dangerous. And so this is the beginning. This is like the intro to why we are going to understand the wisdom behind this type of exchange. All right. So in everything in Proverbs, as we are learning, everything has wisdom. There is a reason why it is wise to do certain things and it's not wise to do other things. And so it seems to me so far that Proverbs is saying, if you are pledging for somebody else, so you're taking on someone else's debt, right? So that means you're going to be responsible if they default, just like the bank is responsible if you default on your loan, you have striked a pledge with a stranger or the family of another household. And what this tells me is that if it's not in your family, and I know family is tricky, I'm gonna get there, okay? But if it's not in your family, they are it's like they are a stranger to you. And yes, I know about chosen families and I know all of that, right? I know, okay? I know that people have, family is not family to them. Blood is not blood to them. And other people. But what I'm saying is that there is a responsibility of a family to take care of its family members. This is what I'm receiving from this. And when you, outside of that family, now take on the responsibility that that family was supposed to take on for that person, it gets into dangerous territory for you because now you're responsible for that debt, for someone else's debt. So this is the beginning of a warning. Okay, we'll get into verse 2 tomorrow, but this is the beginning of a warning that when you do this type of thing, we're going to read in verse 2 what to expect. Okay, so this is something for us to be aware of. Now, that doesn't mean that necessarily you're safe just because you lend to somebody in your family or you are the co-signer on somebody's debt that's in your family. However, you have more access to that person who is in your family, hopefully, right? Not everybody has the same type of family dynamic. So this is a hard topic, especially with families. It's difficult. However, how it should be is that it is easier to be surety for someone's debt in your family than it is for someone in somebody else's family. That's how it should be. However, our families are not aligned like God has instructed us to align them. And so people don't take the responsibility of being that family member in their role, the father, the mother, the sister, the brother, the aunt, the uncle, the cousin, whatever it is. We don't fulfill that role completely. And so we falter on the relationship by just not being there and not being who we're supposed to be in our family, in our role as a family. And sometimes we're taking on other people's roles. We're the daughter, but we're really, acting as the mom, or we're the youngest and we're acting as the oldest, or the oldest is acting as the youngest, like positive and negative. So this is a hard thing. I understand. There's a lot going through my mind about family, right? It's difficult. However, what the Bible is telling us is that know what you're doing, right? Know what you're doing when you take on the debt of another person. And this is wisdom for us to be aware of what can happen. And we'll read what can happen in verse 2. So if this has helped you, if this has given you some type of clarity, please let me know in the comments. And as always, God bless you. See you tomorrow.